Hey guys, so I just wanted to quickly cover some last minute advice that I think you guys will find very, very useful for the solo cash cup that's happening today in a few hours. I think EU is in 3 hours, then NA East and NA West. So I think if you watch this video, you're going to find a little bit of help in terms of last minute advice that I want to give you guys for the solo cash cup. So let's just sort of clarify the specifics, right? What do you really need for endgame, right? What do you need for endgame? Realistically, it's, this is it. This is all you need. At this point, you should just play safe and sort of sit in a bush or sit in a house and then not do anything else, right? 1.5k mats, that's the first thing. The next thing after that is, I think I would say 2x seals, right? It can be anything. It could be minis, chugs, it could be minis, med mist. Otherwise, just take the best thing you have. Usually, it's not up to you, right? It's usually just what your drop gives you. In terms of guns, right, you just have 2x guns, and this will be SMG plus pump. Ideally, this is what you would want. And the last thing, this is very, very important to understand, it's not Spider-Man, it's movement, right? I don't think you'll be able to get Spider-Man 10 out of 10 games. And if you watched my video yesterday, Hydro, who won 3 games in a row and did really, really well in EU, he got 2nd place in round 1, 3rd place in round 2 in EU, and Hydro did actually really, really well. Something specific to understand is he didn't get the Spider-Man every single game, yet he knew how to succeed even though he didn't get Spider-Man. So there's a distinction there, right? This is what you need to do well in endgame. It doesn't include Spider-Man specifically. Yes, Spider-Man is the best form of movement currently in the meta. However, launchpads still exist and peppers still exist, right? So I'm going to give you guys a little bit more detail on what you can do. I'll actually move my webcam here so you can have more space. If you don't find Spider-Man and you just have like launchpads or peppers, or what if you just don't have any movement at all? What can you do? Because yes, if you don't find Spider-Man, movement is a little bit RNG. Like launchpads are rare, man. They only spawn like 1% per floor loot. Like it's pretty rare. And maybe your drop just doesn't have peppers. So what can you do? This is something that's very important to understand because a lot of people don't necessarily know this tip. It's just the fact that you need to be much more elevated in 50-50 zone, okay? So if you really think about the game in terms of 9 zones, the most common zone where people launch pad is first moving or 50-50 zones. If I sort of draw a paint, right? And let's say this is fourth, and then this is half, right? And then this is sort of, it goes like this. And then it pulls like this, right? And then next zone shows here, right? So this is first moving. Most pads, believe it or not, in the game, usually, from my personal experience, is usually placed right here, right? And my point is, every time you go into half and rotate, it's very, very important you choose a elevated position, because if you notice, it's much easier to steal a launch pad if you're elevated. And the reason that is because it's just easier to see where the launchpad is placed, and also it's easier to see when people use the launchpad. Let's say it's behind some weird cover or something and it's kind of hard to see the launchpad itself. You can see people popping up kind of like a springboard, right, out of nowhere. There must be a launchpad there. You can come to that deduction, I'm sure. And then it's just easier to move there, right? If you are on, like, let's say this is like the side view, right, and then you're like up down here, right, and then someone's in here and then they're using their launchpad right here. This is kind of hard to see, first of all. Even if you somehow come to the conclusion that, there is a launchpad in this box, it's extremely hard to ramp up to the box in a very quick and efficient manner. Whereas if I'm up here and I'm elevated, right, and I look down and I see the pad, which is already easier in the first place compared to this position, I can just easily just jump down, right? And it's very, very easy to do that. So I'll quickly actually just go to one of my YouTube videos and show you very, very easily what that looks like, because let me show you an example, right? It's in my last video, but I won't even ask you to go back and look at a certain sign set. Let me just show you in this video itself, right? Let's go to half zone, which should be right here. So he had, right? So he's just sitting on height, trying to delay. And honestly, stealing a pad, the best place to do it is on height, because if you think about it, this is what your view looks like. And tell me, it's very easy to see a pad from this angle, whereas this angle,
yeah, I know,
right? So like this is very, very easy. Try to do this, make a point of doing this if you don't have Spider-Man. Just go up. Your intention is not to keep height, it's just to look for a pad. And here we go. It's just easy, guys. Like, it's just so much easier to do it from height, and you don't have to be necessarily on height. You can be second height or third height. You just need to be elevated, right? Just be the higher half of layers and you'll just have a much easier time successfully stealing a launchpad. Those are just last minute tips that I want to give you. You don't have to sort of take them all into account. This is what I would use as a main tip in terms of how you want to apply and sort of do well in the solo cash cup. But if you guys found this useful, please let me know, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.